I started thinking about if we get to the point where we can upload our consciousness onto a computer, right? If AI could figure out how humans would be able to sort of upload their consciousness onto a computer, so we would be able to live forever. And I wanted to ask you if we got to that point, would you do it to live forever?
Well, I want to answer your question, but I don't presuppose that that's the only way to do that. So I actually think Michael Levin has some great work on this. Dr. Michael Levin, shout out Dr. Michael. He has some amazing work on this. And we've talked about this before, the planarian, there's little worm things that don't age, and that some of them have been alive for 400 million years, and they can be chopped up into all these different pieces and they regrow and do the rest. And so he's doing work on these ion channel blockers and modulators that could potentially sort of take away, give us the ability to repair and regenerate, and not necessarily age the way we typically have aged. Stephen Wolfram's also done some work with entropy and the second law of thermodynamics, and it appears as if we only perceive entropy to be true, or that things tend towards more disorder because of the way we are as observers, the fact that we are computationally bounded and we have finite time, and that the level we exist sort of means that we have to perceive that is true, but it isn't actually true in the actual universe. And so both of those two things together kind of give me hope that, no, I think you probably will be able to have your biological body for, maybe an indefinite amount of time. But on top of that, I think that some augmentation with technology or machines, even though I think we're biological machines, right? I think we are just biological machines. I think our definition of machine is or the current definition of machine is kind of lacking. It's based on these very sort of simple systems where we can sort of know what the system's going to do ahead of time, right? Whereas we're more open-ended, where you can't really know what's going to happen once you put the parts together. There's that emergent complexity that comes from it. And I think once we sort of start to be able to build more things like that, I think the integration of that with who you are as a human and the augmentation and things like that, I think it's going to open up a whole crazy possibility space. And I think it enhances our ability to explore and navigate the universe. So I probably wouldn't upload myself digitally into the cloud or my consciousness, so to speak, but I might have some local backups of my conscious states just in case.
How would that work? How could you have your consciousness backup on a cold storage? Because you wouldn't be able to go from one to the other simultaneously. One would have to essentially turn off and the other one would have to sort of turn on, right? You couldn't be conscious in two different bodies at the same time. Right?
Why?
What's that?
Why?
You think you could be?
Well, if consciousness is just the state of my biology currently, or the state of entanglement that I am currently, and that state sort of is what informs the way I'm feeling and perceiving the universe, and if I could replicate that in biology, to the accuracy that you need to for it to be an accurate sort of replication, I don't see why not. But I was talking more about, if my memories and my conscious awareness and everything else is dependent on the state that I'm currently in. For me to think and feel the way that I'm feeling now with my memories and everything else is dependent on the state of all of my biology or atoms or, that entanglement, like I said, the way that my subgraph is structured, okay, currently, if there is a way to record the states of every single node and edge in my subgraph, and I could store that in a digital format in a computer, and then there's technology to replicate that again in biology, or to this cool. If I could store that state and then there was a machine that could change my state back to that state if that's what I wanted, then yeah, I don't see why it isn't. I think all these things are possible.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around, because like I'm in my body, you're in your body, looking through, these eyes, and you're looking through yours, right? So how could you simultaneously?
Yeah. So no, yeah. We're not looking through, guy. Right?
No, yeah,
They're hitting us, and we're hallucinating, or like we're holographically representing all of this stuff.
right. So how could you have two experiences simultaneously in two different vessels?
Well, you wouldn't have those two experiences simultaneously. What you would be doing is you'd be replicating your current state and then putting it into a new state. And that'll always be different. So then that's like a clone, so to speak. But it doesn't mean that you would have double the experience, but that new thing would be having that experience. Well, it would be having its experience, which will always be different, like slightly different or very different from your experience. It will never be the exact same, because we're not existing in the exact same space and every, or we're not made up of the exact same, nodes and edges in the graph.
Right. So if you uploaded your consciousness to another vessel, is it really you having those experiences? Like
it's just
the same you?
No, because the thing that makes me is the entire history. It's all of that is now. Like I'm just like the point of the iceberg, so to speak. There's an entire iceberg of history behind me. And so that's me. I'm the unique bit. But that doesn't mean that you can't take that state that I'm currently in and record every vector that represents the states in me and then put it into something else. That would just be a version. Same, but different.
Right. But what, like so how do I say this? Like, you are experiencing life as Ruben, right? So that would be over then. Because this new vessel, would the same history, but it would be.
But wasn't have the same history. It's a completely different history. It's like a shallow.
Right, but if you were to sort of try and like take your consciousness and put it into another vessel, so you can continue living your life, but just in a different vessel.
No, you're thinking. I think that consciousness is an emergent thing, or it might even be fundamental, but it's the way we experience it is related to the entanglement of the things that we are. So if there's a way to measure and record the states of every single thing that makes you up, all of the entanglement that you are, all the vectors of that, right? Or all the positions of those. And then you can take that and you can start to entangle other parts of space into that same configuration. You've created another version that will experience in a similar way, but not the exact same way.
Okay.
But still you have consciousness.
I'm trying to remember the name of the show. There's a show that I watched a couple of years ago. It was based in the future, and they upload consciousness onto these chips. And then these chips go into the back of people's necks, right? And when they upload someone's consciousness into another vessel, they sort of wake up in this new body with all their memories from their past, like, vessel life, and they're in this new vessel, and it's essentially like waking up in a new body. But what you're saying doesn't sound like you're waking up in a new body at all, right? So what?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is, how can we, like, what I'm getting at is, like, my version of this is that we create a technology where that occurs. You essentially wake up and continue life like normal, but just in another vessel, right? That's the goal. That should be the goal of it. That should be really the point of it, because to just replicate yourself, it's not really achieving that. You see what I'm getting at?
Sort of. So are you dying? And like, so they're recording all of your states, that like everything that sort of makes you. They're recording that in some way, right? And it might be a very low resolution, or it might just be your brain state currently, and that's enough to encode most of your memories and your conscious state, so to speak. And so then, do you die, and then they use that to create a new version of you?
The show is called Altered Carbon.
Yeah,
have you heard of it? Okay.
Yeah, I have heard of it.
It's like going to sleep. It's basically like going to sleep. You go to sleep, you wake.
But does your body, like, they're recording, they're taking all those memories, then is your body being destroyed?
They put it on ice. Like, it depends. You can put your body in cold storage. It all depends. There's a lot of there's multiple scenarios, but basically you go to sleep and then you wake up and you're just in a different body. You could be in a younger, stronger body, or in a half robot body. I don't remember if they were human bodies fully. I don't remember that detail, or if they were like a cyborg sort of thing, but essentially, yeah, it's like going to sleep and waking up and you're just in a new body, but nothing has changed based on your perspectives, right? Well, like, you're in a different body. That's it, though.
Yeah, I don't think
it's like getting a brain it's like getting a head transplant, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think it would be you having that experience. I think that our conscious experience is heavily tied to the entangled state that we are. And so if you're asleep, so to speak, and you're out in that other, then your conscious state or whatever gets put into another thing. I think that it would be having experience. Now, it might, have your memories and that kind of stuff, but I don't think it would be actually you having that experience.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, right? That's kind of crazy, because you would never fully know, because the replication of you would wake up, and then the scientist would be like, "So, are you Daniel?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Daniel."
Unless that thing has a mechanism to sort of change those states and then record it back onto that device, and then that device gets put back into you, and then you wake back up, you might have recollection or memory of those experiences in some form. And then when you wake back up, it might be like, oh, I got to live this other life.